My girlfriend told everyone we were getting engaged soon. The problem was I had not proposed. I had not bought a ring, and I had not even agreed that I wanted to marry her. I'm 29. My girlfriend Leah is 28. We had been together for 5 years. Most of that was long distance. Different cities, different schedules, weekend visits, holiday plans, video calls. It sounds hard, but honestly, the distance made the relationship easier. We missed each other. We made the most of the time we had, and the problems never stayed in the room long enough to become obvious. 6 months ago, I moved to Leah's city. I had finished a long contract and finally had the option to work remotely. Leah was excited. Her family was excited. My friends said it was about time. Everyone acted like this was the final step before engagement. I tried to feel excited too, but the moment we actually lived together, something changed. Not in one dramatic way, in small ways, constant ways. Leah wanted to know where I was, what I was doing, why I had not replied, why I needed time alone, why I wanted to go for a walk by myself, why I was quiet, why I was tired, why I was not more enthusiastic. At first, I thought it was adjustment. We had never really lived daily life together before, so I gave it time. Then time became weeks. Weeks became months, and I started sleeping less and less. Leah is not a bad person. That is what made this hard. She is loyal, affectionate, family-oriented, the kind of woman people describe as wife material. She remembers birthdays. She brings soup when someone is sick. Everyone loves her. But living with her felt like slowly losing access to myself. If I sat alone in the bedroom, she knocked after 10 minutes. If I wore headphones, she asked if I was avoiding her. If I wanted a weekend to decompress, she said couples should want to spend weekends together. If I did not answer a text within an hour, she got hurt. One evening I went for a walk after work. No reason, just air. I was gone 35 minutes. When I got back, Leah was sitting on the couch with her arms crossed. She said, "Must be nice to just disappear." I said, "I went around the block." She said, "You didn't tell me." I said, "I didn't think I needed permission to walk outside." She started crying. Then I ended up apologizing. That happened a lot. She would get upset. I would explain. She would cry. Then somehow the conversation became about how I made her feel unwanted, not about whether what she expected was reasonable. The biggest issue was that everyone around us kept pushing marriage. Her mother asked me about rings. Her sister sent me links to venues. My own mother said Leah was a good woman, and I should not waste her time. My friends told me I was lucky. One friend said, "Most guys would kill for a girl that committed." That sentence bothered me, because commitment started to feel less like love and more like pressure. Then Leah started talking about our timeline, not asking, talking. She said we should be engaged by spring, married the next year, house after that, kids before 33. She had it all mapped out. I said, "That's a lot." She smiled and said, "That's just what people do." I said, "People talk about it first." She said, "We have talked about marriage before." I said, "In theory, not like a schedule someone already approved." She got quiet. Then she said, "After 5 years, you still don't know?" That sentence trapped me, because any honest answer would hurt her, and any dishonest answer would trap both of us. For weeks, I tried to convince myself I was the problem. Maybe I feared commitment. Maybe I was immature. Maybe I had missed out by only being with one person for so long. Maybe I was comparing real life to some fantasy. Those thoughts kept me awake almost every night. Then came her cousin's birthday dinner. That was the turning point. We were at a restaurant with her family. Someone joked that Leah would be next to get engaged. Before I could say anything, Leah held up her hand and said, "Soon, he just needs to make it official." Everyone laughed. Her mother looked at me and said, "We're all waiting." I smiled because I did not know what else to do. Then Leah said, "He knows the deadline." The table laughed again. I did not. because it was not a joke to me. It was a public announcement of a private decision I had never made. On the drive home, I said, "Why did you say that?" She said, "Say what?" I said, "That I know the deadline." She said, "Because you do." I said, "No, Leah, you made a deadline." She said, "We've been together 5 years." I said, "That is not the same as me agreeing." She stared out the window, then said, "So now I'm pressuring you?" I said, "Yes." She said, "Wow." I said, "You told your family we're basically getting engaged before asking if I'm ready." She said, "I shouldn't have to ask after 5 years." That was the line that changed everything. I said, "That's exactly the problem." She looked at me. I said, "You think time equals consent." She started crying, again, but this time I did not apologize. I just kept driving. When we got home, she called her sister. I could hear parts of it through the wall. She said I was humiliating her. She said I had wasted her 20s. She said I was suddenly acting like she was some controlling monster. By morning, her mother had texted me. She said, "If you are not serious about my daughter, you need to let her go." That was the first message I actually agreed with. Not the guilt, not the accusation, but the point. If I was not serious, I needed to stop pretending silence was kindness. So I sat Leah down that night. I told her I could not get engaged right now. She asked if that meant never. I said I did not know. She said, "That means never." I said, "No, it means I'm finally being honest." She said, "You waited until I built my life around you." I said, "You built a life around a version of me who never said yes." That was harsh, but it was true. She said I was blaming her for loving me. I said, "I am blaming you for planning over me." She said, "You act like I forced you." I said, "You did not force me. You cornered me with expectations and called my hesitation betrayal." The fight lasted 2 hours. At one point she said, "Do you even love me?" I said, "Yes." She said, "And why isn't that enough?" I said, "Because love is not the same thing as wanting the same life." That was the sentence she could not get past. Maybe because it was the real issue. I loved her. I did not want to marry her. At least not then. Maybe not ever. And saying that made me feel like the worst person alive. Update 1. I moved into a short-term rental. Leah told people I abandoned her. Her family thinks I used her. My mother says I panicked and threw away a good woman. Maybe some viewers will agree. Update 2. Leah sent me a long message saying I should have told her sooner. She is right. I should have. I was scared of hurting her. So I let the pressure grow until the truth hurt even more. That part is on me. Update 3. I am sleeping again. Not perfectly, but more than 3 hours. That tells me something. It does not make Leah the villain, but it does make the relationship wrong. People keep saying relationships require compromise. I agree, but compromise is not one person surrendering every quiet part of themselves, so the other person feels secure. I am not proud of how long I waited to be honest, but I am also done pretending that being loved intensely means being loved correctly. Maybe I should have left sooner. Maybe I should have proposed and worked through it. Maybe I am selfish for leaving someone good because I felt trapped. But I know this. If the idea of marrying someone makes you feel like you are disappearing, then the kindest thing you can do is stop calling your fear a phase.